Access Arts Live roundup of organ recital live stream action for the week of May 18th to May 25th. And we have got live streams from you from around the world, from New York to London to Paris to Moscow, all the way out to Tomsk in Siberia, to tell you about by up-and-coming young organists, and by accomplished organists, and by organists towards the end of their careers. So we have something for everybody today. Before I go any further, let me remind you, if you love this kind of music as much as we do, and you love getting it free of charge the way we deliver it to you, do yourself a favor, follow and or subscribe to Access Arts Live, absolutely free of charge, on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram particularly, but we're also there on X, TikTok, Threads, and LinkedIn, if that is where you prefer to hang out. Having said that, then without any further ado, let me move on to telling you about the first of this week's live streams. Let me fix that. Let me fix that image up for you. I'm not happy with that. It gave us an image which is severely in need of additional lighting, so you can see this guy. There you go. So let's try this again. We'll remove that. Let me put up the enhanced video image that I want you to see, so you can see what the guy looks like. Please, there's a little better. Okay. All right. Tuesday, May 19th, St. James Cathedral, Toronto, live streams William O'Meara, organ soloist, accompanist, and former longtime music director at St. Michael's Cathedral in Toronto. That'll be at 1 o'clock in the afternoon in Toronto, 10 in the morning in Los Angeles, and 7 in the evening here in Europe, where I'm live streaming from. He was, for 19 years, he was the choir director there at St. Michael's Choir School, as well as the cathedral organist. He has played at festivals and concert series throughout North America, South America, and Europe in his time serving the Warsaw International Festival of Organ Music, the Truro International Organ Festival, the International Congress of Organists in Montreal, the San Bento International Organ Festival in Sao Paulo, the Piccolo Spoleto Festival down in Charleston, South Carolina, and at the Harvard University Organ Society. He used to travel back in the 90s with a trumpet and organ duo all over the U.S. and they had they had works commissioned for that particular kind of a duo. He's also the piano accompanist for the Cinematheque Ontario, Toronto, which, because you know that there's music that goes with silent films, and he has become expert at improvising that music as he goes along. We don't know what he's going to be playing. They never tell us that at St. James. And in fact, I noticed that most of this week's live streams, we can't tell you what they're going to be playing. I mean, it's just a sad fact of life that they set up these organ recitals, but then they don't provide as much information as we really need about it. So let us move on then to Wednesday's live stream action. And I think we have a couple live streams for you on Wednesday, as per usual. Queen's College, Oxford, live streams Richard Brasier, concert organist, pedagogue, and scholar. an accredited teacher and examiner at the Royal College of Organists, and the organist and curator at St. Mary's German Lutheran Church in central London, Wednesday, May 20th at 2:10 in the afternoon European time, 8:10 in the morning on the East Coast, 11:10 at night down under in Australia. Here we know what he's going to be playing. He'll be playing an organ mass for Pentecost, cobbled together out of pieces by different composers. So the prelude, let me get these right. There will be the prelude by Peter Corneille, who was a 16th and 17th century composer, a fantasy hymn by Franz Tunder, and then there will be several pieces by Bach, a Kyrie, a Christe, a Kyrie, a Gloria by Bach, a Sanctus and Benedictus by Buxtehude, a Praeludium and Agnus Dei by Pachelbel, and then he will finish off with Ulam Gottes Unschuldig, a postlude by Johann Sebastian Bach. So a potpourri of Pentecost-related music. This guy is very scholarly, as you can tell by that kind of a setup, product of the Royal Academy of Music in London and the Cologne Hochschule. He has done complete surveys of the organ works of Johann Sebastian Bach, of CPE Bach, and of Robert Schumann, performed on a 19th century pedalflügel, and of César Franck. And he has edited performing editions of music by Beethoven, William Wolstenholme, who I've never heard of, and Heinrich Bach. So the list goes on and on. A very interesting man, a very detailed program. Check it out. Now, almost simultaneously with that concert, as is usually the case, there is a concert coming from Temple Church London, which starts 5 minutes later. Well, hello, Sofikul Islam. Oh, I guess you said good night already. Anyway, you did say hello, and thank you for doing so. And hello to Dilep G. Vasudevan. It's very unusual that our platform here on Restream actually shows us people that have taken a moment to chat with us. Usually I find them directly on Instagram. So it's nice to see that some people are getting through the filter of our 6 platform live streaming setup. Temple Church London live streams its head of choral education and outreach, organist and pedagogue Yvette Murphy, Wednesday, May 20th at 2:15 in the afternoon. That's 5 minutes after the Queen's College live stream from Oxford. And 8:15 in the morning on the East Coast and 11:15 at night down under in Australia. She is her job as head of outreach and choral education at Temple Church is to develop organ and choral initiatives with local schools. She did this for the entire Diocese of Westminster for 3 or 4 years before joining the Temple Church, with working with about 20 different schools, Catholic primary schools. I didn't know they had that many Catholic schools in England. Anyway, she has, as a recitalist, she's performed at places like Westminster Abbey, the Queen's College, Oxford, which has an ongoing live stream at the same time as this one. She's also the courses manager for a place called Creative Undel for Organist, where she oversees courses for pianist and beginner organist, and she's an experienced choir conductor. We don't know what she's going to be playing in terms of music. We do know she's playing a Harrison and Harrison limited organ with 4 manuals and 3 32-foot stops, originally built for a ballroom up in Scotland and inaugurated back in 1927 by Marcel Dupré himself, who came up from Paris to inaugurate it. So he thought much of it, and they moved it up to the Temple Church in the 1950s. And so we move along to the next of this week's, and this one is also on Wednesday, but it's in the United States, so it will be later in the day. And this next one I'm very happy to tell you about because it's a whole program that's going to be going on now. And there's the organ involved. Anybody else want to say hello? We've had people actually saying hello. Well, there's Maria Sole Galevi has joined us on Instagram. Welcome to the live stream. Let me tell you, Methuen Memorial organ recital series is starting up again with a concert by young organist Ravi Burtner, Anthony Clark, and Nathan Head playing César Franck and Johann Sebastian Bach. It's a terrific organ, which was the first major concert organ built in the United States in the 1860s. For a Boston concert hall, actually fell into disuse and then was rescued some 20 years later, like in the 1890s. And they built the hall to suit the specifications of the organ. Anyway, this will be very young people. These are high school students. They'll be playing Franck's Chorale number 1 in E major, his Chorale number 3 in A minor, Bach's Chorale Prelude on Es ist das Heil uns kommen her, and his Fugue in D major. So welcome to them. But the happy thing about this means they're starting up their summer concert series. So on a weekly basis, we're going to have some terrific recitals to tell you about by top organists from around the country coming to play on an historic organ. Happy to see this happening and happy to tell you about it. And who's up next? I think up next is, it's Martin Palmieri. Truro Cathedral hands over the keyboard and pedals of its venerable Father Willis organ to Martin Palmer, the former long-standing choir director at the cathedral, also a concert organist with extensive experience and a composer of note. This will be on Thursday at 2:10 in the afternoon European time, 8:10 in New York City, 11:10 in the evening down under in Australia. I don't mention what time it'll be on the West Coast because it's way too early to get up to listen to the organ. Anyway, he was the former choir director at Truro for 19 years, ending in 2023. He's sort of an itinerant choir director now, directing choirs in different places at different times, different events. I can't give you the list of all that. He's also a composer. He's composed things like Misa Tango at Buenos Aires, also known as Misa Tango, based on the Latin Mass. And I came across it. This was back in the 1990s already that he composed it, and he's composed a lot of other things since then. But that particular one was premiered in Buenos Aires, as it was in honor of Buenos Aires. It was performed in Rome at the Basilica of St. Ignatius of Loyola in a concert in honor of Pope Francis. So people take his music seriously. It was performed at Carnegie Hall in New York in 2017, at the Concert House, the Konzerthaus in Vienna, and in Casablanca and Rabat in 2018, and at the Cologne Phil Auditorium. So big deal. It's Father Willis organ there at Truro Cathedral, as I mentioned. It bears, they tell us, the standard Father Willis hallmarks. Quote, tierce mixtures on the great and swell, characterful gadacts on the choir, and a small but telling pedal division. Those of you who are real organ aficionados know what each of those things mean very specifically. And we move on to the next of this one. So now we move on from a very accomplished organist who's been around for decades to a young guy who will be wanting to make his mark as well. New College Oxford LIVEstreams young Joshua Stevens, recently appointed as the suborganist at the Winchester Cathedral, to play in its weekly live stream on Thursday, May 21st. This will be at 2:15 in the afternoon. European time, 8:15 in the morning in New York City, and 11:15 in the evening, Australian Eastern Standard Time. It's 5 minutes after the Truro Cathedral starts. So both on Wednesday and Thursday this week, you have a concert at 2:10 in the afternoon in Europe, 8:10 in the morning in New York City, and then another one on its heels at 2:15 and 8:15 in the morning, and it's up to you to choose. And most of them, for three of them, we don't know what they're playing. Anyway, he has performed as a soloist at Westminster Abbey, at the Metropolitan Cathedral, at Selby Abbey, at the Leeds Town Hall in the Leeds International Concert Series. He collaborated with actress Maxine Peake in at the Manchester International Festival on the Mask of Anarchy, sorry, which was featured on the soundtrack to The Crown on Netflix. Before he became the suborganist at Winchester Cathedral, he had founded a group called the Steel City Choristers, which he then directed, and he was acting director of music at Sheffield Cathedral, and he was second assistant organist, if there is such a thing, and there is, at Wells Cathedral. So, product of the Royal Northern College of Music. The organ there is a new organ, designed, built, and installed in the 1960s, and it designed to be a departure from prevailing organ building trends in the past. If we have room, we will give you a link to the New College Oxford information about their organ, which was designed to oppose the excesses of romantic organ building and to create instruments which could do justice to the polyphonic music of the 17th and 18th centuries and also to contemporary music. They're quite proud of it. It includes known and tenth stops, which you are told are experimental high-pitched mutation stops, which do not speak at the unison. Those of you who are really know about organists will be interested in all of that. And those that you don't know, it might just make you curious to hear that organ played after all that. So then let us move on to the next of this week's live streams. And we're already on the weekend now, to one of my favorite organists and composers, resident organist and composer Yvette Lugina brings in a string quartet composed of soloists from the National Philharmonic Orchestra to the Roman Catholic Cathedral in Moscow to play works by Vivaldi, Bach, Handel, Kreisler, Pullman, Einaudi, Jenkins, and others, Saturday, May 23rd. She's just a delightful organist, and she follows us on Instagram, which I'm very happy to see. The quartet is an ad hoc quartet. It's not a quartet with a name. It's Maxim Kokolov on the violin, Anastasia Kokolova on the violin, and they have played at the Catholic Cathedral before. Anna Gladish on the viola, and Peter Gladish on the cello. Looks like a couple of couples or a couple of families, and I have not researched to see what is the nature of their personal connection. But obviously, these are people who know each other well. So they will start out with Fritz Kreisler's Prelude and Allegro. These concerts at the Catholic Cathedral always include some solo organ pieces as well, regardless of what else is included for you organ purists. Then they'll do parts of Vivaldi's The Seasons, part 1 and 2 of The Winter, Part 3 of Summer. Then they'll do Bach's Brandenburg Concerto No. 4, Part 1, Handel's aria of Xerxes, Leon Bullmann's Gothic Toccata, Bach's Jesu meine Freude, Jesu meine Freude. Thought I'd throw that in for you. Some people like to hear me sing a little bit. Hans Zimmer's Interstellar and John Williams' Star Wars comes after that, so they jump forward, and then they do a piece by Yvette herself called Fortune. She's a very fine composer. And then Carl Junkin's Palladio, Hans Zimmer's Pirates of the Caribbean, and Bach's Prelude in C minor from the Well-Tempered Clavier, and they'll finish up with Leonard Cohen's Hallelujah. Sounds like a lovely concert from the Catholic Cathedral in Moscow by an expert organist, expert string quartet, and a fine composer to boot. And I think I have just 2 more live streams to tell you about today. I think I'll just show you this picture for Francois Olivier. Francois Olivier has been the choir organist at St. Eustache Church for more than 20 years, including many years beside the legendary organist Jean Guillou, who was there up until 2015. And Sunday, May 24th, he's featured in their weekly live stream playing Nicolas de Grigny, Maurice Duruflé, and César Franck. That's at their usual 5 o'clock in the evening time in the heart of Paris. I may be there in person because I'll be down in Paris starting this week for the next couple of months, at least until early July. He'll be, and that's 11 o'clock in New York City, 8 o'clock in the morning on the West Coast. And I think midnight down under in Australia. Anyway, by Nicolas de Grigny, he's playing the hymn Veni Creator, which comes in several parts, all of which I have here only in French, so I won't bore you with, one of it is en taille, then fugue à cinq, duo, récit de Cromorne, and dialogue sur les grands jeux, dialogue on the great games. Then he'll do Maurice Duruflé's chorale on the theme of Veni Creator, and finish up with César Franck's second chorale. Very good organist playing on a 115 stop, 7,952 pipe Vanden Heuvel organ. And there will be hundreds of people there. It will be standing room only as usual, Sunday evening in Paris. And I may be there, yours truly. And if I am, I will also be in the chat box on YouTube. So do say hello if you're tuning in to Access Arts Live. Say hello to Access Arts Live. Tune into the concert. And then finally, we have one more concert to tell you about next Monday. By an organist who really covers the waterfront, in a sense. Looking very distinguished there. Monday, May 25th, Magdalen College, Oxford LIVEstreams. Guest organist David Enlow, music director of both the Park Avenue Synagogue and the Church of the Resurrection in New York City. David Enlow has been described by the New Yorker as a commanding organist. He's not only is he a music director and choir master, he's also has numerous solo recordings on the Pro Organo label, including the complete major organ works of César Franck, and a piece in an album called Bach on Park Avenue, recorded on, we're told, the Mander organ at the Church of St. Ignatius Loyola in New York. He as a soloist with orchestras. He plays the works of Poulenc, Haydn, Handel, Respighi, Bach, and Saint-Saëns. The American Record Guide says his performances are full of color, passion, invention, and power. He also has done teaching workshops at events organized by the American Guild of Organists, the Royal Canadian College of Organists, and at Juilliard School, from which he received 2 degrees. What can I say? A top organist who has a foot in both the worlds of a church and a synagogue, which is not something you run across every day. Folks, that is what we have for you this week in terms of live streams of organ recitals from around the world, really. I hope that some one or any of them inspires you, uplifts you, or just shows you a heck of a good time. I'll remind you, if you like this kind of programming, do yourself and do your friends a favor as well, because you can invite them easily on Facebook. Follow and or subscribe to Access Arts Live, absolutely free of charge, on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Threads, LinkedIn, TikTok, and X. And if you follow us on Facebook, if you go to our Facebook page, there's a little 3 dots in the upper right-hand corner. If you click on those, you're given a menu which allows you to then click on following. You're following us. But more importantly, in that same menu, after you're following us, when you click on those 3 dots, it gives you the option of invite. And if you click on that invite, you can then, with one more click, invite all of your contacts to enjoy these thousands of hours of live performances online that we bring to you every year. So I would encourage you to do that. I'll be back tomorrow with more live links and background information about chamber music and full-scale orchestral and operatic works the rest of this week of May 18th and May 25th. Thank you so much for tuning in.